you doing today, guys? Welcome back to another day of 7th grade math. This is Mr. Gomez, your favorite teacher in the whole world. And today we are going to be talking about constant rate of change. Now, before we start, if you haven't, please consider subscribing. If you have another 7th grader or you friend at school needs help with this, please share them videos. And if you want to support the channel, link down in the description. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started on this. It says constant rates of change. And we're still going to be talking about proportions, okay? So this is very similar to something that we have been talking about before, but now we actually going to have a formula for this. So, just to start with, it says, a proportion is an equation or statement that two rates are the same, okay? And they give us an example. And this is something that you're going to be encountering on your daily life. For example, it says, in 1 hour of babysitting, Rajiv makes $8. Okay, so 1 hour he makes $8 per hour. Okay, like when we're talking about unit rates, and if you haven't watched the video, you can check that video right here. It's like unit rates. Okay, it says in 1 hour. Remember, every time we have a talking about time, we're gonna have a proportion, and the time is always gonna be on the bottom, okay? And the other variable is gonna be on top, okay? So in 1 hour he makes $8, and now we should be able to find out if he works 40 hours, how much money he's gonna make. It's just gonna be a constant rate of change, and we can do it in different ways. We can do it in word problems, we can do it in graphs, and we can do it in tables. For today, we're going to be focusing on tables. Later on, we're going to be focusing on graphs. I will link the videos once I have those ready for you. Now, it says in 1 hour of babysitting, he makes $8. Now he makes $16 in 2 hours, and in 24 in 3 hours. So as you can see, we have a table. Over here, we have the time worked. We have the time worked, and we have the total wage. Wage is another word for the amount of money he makes, okay? So 1 hour, he makes $8. For 2 hours, he makes $16. And for 3 hours, he makes $24. So if we extend this table, we can kind of predict or know what's gonna happen at 7 hours, for instance. Every hour is $8, so all you have to do is multiply 7 times 8, which will be 56. If he works 7 hours, he'll make $76. Okay, that's just the reason behind it. And you can write those as a fraction, like I have it over here. So for instance, 1 over 8, you can write it like that as well. Okay, now, it says to see if the relationship is proportional, and this is something that we have talked about, and I was gonna show you right here, but they have it over here for us. We're gonna find the constant, the constant rate of change. Okay, how do we do that? Well, we're just gonna write it as a fraction. In this case, they flipped them for us. That's okay. So instead of having 1/8, we have 8 over 1. When you divide, you get 8. And then the second one, you have 16 divided by 2. Remember, because every time you have the hours goes on the bottom, and that's what I was telling you over here, right here. That's why they flipped them, right? So the table doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the X or Y, anything like that. Just remember that every time we're talking about any unit of time is gonna go on the bottom when you put it on a fraction. So 16 divided by 2 is also 8, and 24 divided by 3 is 8 as well. So basically, this is the 8 times table or the 3 times table. I mean the 8 times table. So basically, this is the 8 times table. 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, so forth, so on. Now it says the rate of change for each column is the same. What does that mean? That every time it's changing the same amount. Every time this is doing is changing the same amount. So if you see over here, it's changing by 8. You're adding 8. And from the 16 to the 24, you're also adding 8. Now on the top, it's not necessarily going to change by 8, but it's going to change by the same amount every time. To get from 1 to 2, it changes by 1. From 2 to 3, it changes by 1. So basically, it's 8 over 1, which is just 8. Okay? This is going to come into a role in a little bit. Says you can express a proportional relationship by using the equation. See, now we have an equation, y equals kx. Okay? Now pay attention. Every letter is a different value. Okay? It says where k represents the constant rate of change between x and y. Where k represents the constant rate of change between x and y. So if we look at this table above, this is going to be my y, and this is going to be my x. Okay? So my k is going to be this change right here at the bottom, whatever it changed. That's so far so on. It might seem a little confusing, but let me show you on the examples below what is this about. Is that before we go over there, let's look at this. In this example, k equals 8, and we write the equation as y equals 8x. Now look at this right here. We found k to be 8, or we found it right there, whatever you wanted. So the equation is y equals kx. Once you find k, all you gotta do is put in that number in that equation, and the other two stay the same. So we found k to be 8, so all you gotta do is y equals 8x, and that's the formula, and you're done. Okay? Now we have a couple of examples right here. We have a table, and we're gonna answer numbers 1 and 2. It says the table shows the number of texts Terry received in a certain period of time. And we have a table. One value is the time in minutes, and the other value is the numbers of text. Okay? Now, remember, every time you have a value of time is always going to be in the bottom. Okay? The value of time is always going to be on the bottom. So what does that mean? If we look at the table, at the equation, y equals kx, okay? We can solve for k and get another equation that is gonna give you how to find the value of k. So if we look at this right here, these two right here, they're multiplying. And if I wanna leave k by itself, I have to get rid of that x. And in order to get rid of that multiplying x, I will have to divide by x, okay? But what I do to one side, I do to the other side. So this will cancel out, and I will be left with k equals y over x. That's the equation. That's the same equation, it's just in a different way, okay? This equation right here might not be given to you on the formula chart. Let me see. Yes. That equation is given to you on your formula chart, and it's going to be like the second one right there, okay? That equation is given to you. However, this equation right here, that one is not going to be given to you. But you can find it with this given equation, okay? Because we're going to have to manipulate it to find one or different things. So if we look at this, remember the bottom is always going to be the time. So if you want to make a note, it's going to be the x. So if we come over here to the table, I can see that this is going to be my x and this is going to be my y right away. Okay? And all you have to do is divide, and you get your value of k, okay, your constant rate of change. But the faster way to do it, whenever you have a table, is really simple. Just look at the change between these two values. How much did it change? From 3 to 6. How much is that? It added 3. Okay? From 6 to 9, it also added 3. Now, you always have to do all of them because they might be testing you, and maybe the last one doesn't match. They all have to be the same. If not, then it's not valid. And from 9 to 12, it also changed by 3. Now let's look at the top. This is very simple because it's going 1 by 1. So whenever it's going 1 by 1, is y divided by x. So it's 3 over 1, which is just 3. And this relationship between the number of texts and a proportion is the relationship between the number of texts and time proportional relationship. Did it change the same in here all the time? It did, right? So yes. For each, number 2, for each column of the table, write a fraction and find k, the constant of proportionality. This is what I was telling you about, okay? For each column of the table, these are the columns, okay? We're gonna find k, but remember, they're backwards. Look, x is on top, y is on the bottom on the table. However, on the equation right here, y is on top, x is on the bottom. So all we have to do is write a fraction like they did over here and find k. So for the first one, I'm gonna do x over y, so k is gonna be 3 over 1, which is 3, and that is gonna be your k. For the second column, is gonna be 6 over 2. When you divide 6 divided by 2, you get 3. And then you have 9 divided by 3. When you divide that, you get 3. Remember, it's TiVo, right, guys? All we're doing is TiVo. And then 12 divided by 4 is also 3. So k equals 3, which we had already found over here. So these are extra steps right here. So if you look at the table, you can do it like I did right away. Now it says number 3, express this relationship in the form of an equation. We're gonna be using this original equation right there. So the original equation is y equals kx, and all we have to do is replace the k value, which we found right there. So all you have to do is write y equals, and instead of k, you're gonna put in that number, which is 3, and then x, and that's it. And that's it. Now, what is the rate of change? Well, that's it. It's the 3. That's it. Nothing else to it. If there's any questions so far, please leave them down in the comments below, and I will make sure that I answer to you. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing. Now, let's keep doing 2 more, and these are just the tables. So we're just gonna write the equation for each table and let x be time or weight. Look at this, what it's saying. Let x be time or weight. I told you before that anytime you have a value of time, put it on the bottom, okay? Now they making this true, but they're also telling you if you have the value of weight, like if it's ounces, kilograms, pounds, grams, any value of weight, you're gonna put it on the bottom, okay? It's gonna be your x, because the formula is k equals y over x, okay? And usually the tables, every time you have a table, usually the x goes before the y, x comma y, just like on the alphabet. So if we look at this, this is gonna be your x and y, x and y. And if you notice, the x is the time, and on the number 6, the x is the weight. Exactly what we wanted. Now, all we have to do now, instead of writing the fractions or whatever, you can do that. You can do 35 divided by 1, how much is that? 70 divided by 2, how much is that? 105 divided by 3, so forth, so on. Whatever that value is, that's going to be your k. That's the actual weight. Y divided by x. 35, for instance, 35 divided by 1. Or 70 divided by 2, so forth, so on. But if you come over here and you do this strategy, how much did it change right here? It changed by 35. These numbers are getting bigger, so it might be actually easier to do the formula, right? From here to here, it changed by 35. From here to here, it's also changed by 35. And everything just changed by 1. So k equals 35 right here, because this is 1. If the top was something other than 1, then you would have to divide. Okay, they might not put them in order, so you will have to divide, and we're probably gonna see some examples like that over here. Okay, number 6, weight and cost. So basically this is probably gonna be, how much are 3 pounds of apples? I don't know. Well, for 3 pounds, you're gonna pay $21. That's what he's saying. For 4 pounds, 28. For 5 pounds, 35. 6 pounds, 72. So, if we pick one of this, I'm gonna do it the other way. K equals y divided by x. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. 28 divided by 4 is also 7. 35 divided by 5 is also 7. Basically, you can, this is what we're doing. Over here is changing by 7. 42 divided by 6 is also 7. So y equals 7x. Or k equals 7. Whatever they're asking. If they ask you just for the value of k, you just put in that number. If they ask you to put it back into the equation, you're going to put it like that. Y equals 7x. Okay? Now, again, if there's any questions so far, please leave them down in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you. If you know somebody that's struggling with this subject, or is something that you're barely learning at school this week, this is going to help you a lot. Again, if you want to support this channel, link down in the description. That is it for this one, guys. This was constant rate of change, K. That's it for today, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.